Hey guys, this is Anne-Marie from Sheets That Teach, and today I'm coming at you with a new tutorial for one of our most beloved trackers. It was the behavior interval frequency data sheet, not to be confused with our yearly or weekly behavior log. Your yearly and weekly behavior log are going to be for those positive skills that, very safe skills that the student could be learning, whereas your behavior and now intervention data sheet are really to show those more disruptive, unsafe behaviors. So this is safe, positive skills that can be learned, but with the behavior data sheet, that's really the disruptive and unsafe behaviors. And lots of you, whenever this goes viral, want to know if you could add interventions to see when they were started, stopped, or missed, to really show like, hey, we've been doing all we can and we have cracked the code and figured out how to do that for you guys. And it is truly magical. Me and Laura are so excited to release this to you guys. So even if you already know and love the behavior interval frequency data sheet, it's worth sticking around to see how you can measure those interventions. And we also have new report generators on it, but you might be able to pick and choose which parts you want to do. So as always, I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the example to really kind of show you guys some of those amazing features it has, like the report generator or this new all data tab, and then we will go over the actual setup. So we'll be messing around on the example first. So as always, on the Start Here tab, you're going to get your instructions with a link to the YouTube tutorial that you're watching now. But if you don't want to listen to my voice, go ahead and rock with the written and visual instructions. And then you'll also have a link to the example template, which is what we're on right now. But in your setup tab, looks really, really similar. You are going to go ahead and list any of those unsafe or disruptive behaviors. And again, it has this beautiful color scale, so you can really order it by intensity if you'd like. And if you'd like to define those behaviors for anyone taking data, you can do so here. This plus and minus is just collapsing and expanding a cell that's hidden. And then here's the newer part. You are going to be able to put your up to 10 different interventions that you're using with that student. And then again, if you'd like to define them here or give a little description of what they are, you can do so here. I just want to point, and then you can also log reasons for absences. One thing I do want to say is that the behavior descriptions, the intervention descriptions, none of these are automated with any other part of the tool, so it's really if you want to fill them out. And then let's go ahead and peek at a daily data tab. This is, you are going to be able to pick your date, your time interval that you are measuring to see if the behavior happens within that time period, and then a start and end time. This sheet, you've seen it before, will auto calculate that. Let's just go ahead and change this one to 2:30 real quick. And there we have it. Oh, was it? There we go. Yes, more intervals were added. So again, you on your number tabs, these start with numbers as 1, 2, 3, 4, goes all the way to 40 now instead of 20. So you can really see if those 8 weeks of interventions made a difference. So again, instead of just 20 data taking daily data tabs, you now have 40 to measure up to 8 weeks. I love to rename them to whatever the date actually was, and you can see as you enter in the frequency of how many times that behavior entered into the interval, all your graphs are going to automatically update. And then one of the biggest, and it's also measuring your missed instruction. Say he missed another 4 minutes here. Your missed instruction is going to go up and your total behavior instances is going to go up. But the biggest thing that is the difference now is you can come over here to intervention at the top right corner and you can check off whatever interventions were used that day. A lot of you wanted to see this. And so now let's see how the interventions that were used that day then syncs with all of your overviews and the new data it's able to show you guys. So let's go ahead and start with the weekly breakdown because this is the one that looks probably the most familiar to everyone. So for each week, you're going to have your behaviors. So this graph shows them in the order of severity that you did on your setup page, and it'll tell you the total here. Now, however, I do want to point out with this table on the side, this is listing the behaviors from highest frequency to lowest frequency. So you can always see like what those heavy hitters are. It's always going to give you that ratio of missed instruction versus time observed. And then the newer thing this round is that it's going to show you the interventions that were implemented this week and how many times they were. So we can see for week 1, that was our baseline week. We really only had the basic interventions of off-bell transitions and visual schedules. And then you can see, so again, week 1 was our baseline week. And then week 2, we really started to implement some more interventions. Week 3, even more, and we can see that behaviors have definitely gone down. Severe aggression is way down, off tasks way down. Some other behaviors are picking up, but again, some of those heavy hitters are noticeably lower. And again, you can just see, I love how this data tells a story. We're adding more and more interventions. Behaviors are going down further and further. So I really love how this tells a story. Or, you know, maybe you're using numerous interventions and behaviors are still skyrocketing. That's proof that nothing you're doing is working and something needs to be done. This one is more just total frequencies of behaviors, again, telling a story, especially since you can see, like, look, we've done nothing but add more and more interventions. And then we have our totals for each week, and you can see a lot of them are really going in that downward trend. So that's, oh, and again, it's going to 8 weeks instead of 4. And then again, this has a expandable and collapsible section for your notes. And let's go ahead and keep those open real quick so I can also show you each week has one. But then also even down here per behavior, there's space for you to enter in notes if you'd like. So that is all the updates to the weekly breakdown. Let's go ahead and close those up. The overview, this is very, very enhanced. So let me just show you what we used to be working with. Before, we were really just looking at total behaviors, but technically if I wanted to see September 1st all the way till the end of October, I could. Love that you can pick the start and end dates. You have every single behavior broken down, and then you also have your missed instruction graph over here. You even have your total instances of behavior with a trend line, so you can see overall that it is going down. Now I'm going to go ahead and show way less time because it can look a little, let's just go ahead and do all of October. And now, again, you can see this drop down menu below the dates that you've selected. This is if you want to see, okay, I want to see when the RBT started and when, well, actually we can go a little farther back to show when they started if we wanted to. Let's go ahead and do, yeah, there we go. Say you wanted to see when the RBT started, and you also wanted to see like when we increased counseling those days and if that made a difference. So you're now going to be able to see here, I want to do even less because it's just sometimes harder to read. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and look at one of the heavy hitter of behavior, like the aggression towards peers or the severe aggression. So now I love this because I think that this data really tells a story. We can see that before the RBT started, aggression was really high. They started, it went down. They had some days where that were outliers. And then look how it's basically 0 for a good long bit, like super, super low. And then, oh, look, the RBT was absent for 2 days and things really spiked. They even spiked for the first day they were back. But again, like you can see, look, aggression towards peers on that second day was extremely high. And look, we have a downward trend for the most part, but when that RBT was absent, stuff was really spiking. So I think that just, again, really shows, I know that that shows the impact that the RBT is having on the student. And again, we can kind of see like, look, this support was really, really helping. You take one away, behaviors are spiking. Let's see if we can see that. Look, we can also see that in the missed instruction graph. And again, I like this because technically if you wanted to check off all 7, you could. It definitely is a little overwhelming to read, but again, I love the story that this tells overall of look how many supports we were implementing. And here they were really, really working. But again, you get to the day that the RBT was absent, RBT is blue on this one. We definitely struggled a little bit in that behavior. So, and again, I think this is beautiful. Property misuse, look at that section where it's really, really low, and look at all the interventions we were implementing. So again, this graph, you can choose what you want to see. It really has a filtering system of sorts. You can select your start and end date. You can select any interventions you want to see, if any. If not, you just want to look at the totals, you can. Other tables you have over here, you have a notes table. You also have, this is the total instances of behavior, which again, you technically get to see right here too, but this is breaking them down for you. Graph of the total behavior instances. Here, if you would like to manually log how many days the student was absent, you could. And then we also left this beautiful little table here that's not automated to anything. You could just write their behavior goals here and their end date and kind of use this to see if they've hit them. We thought that that could be something that's really beneficial for you guys. Now let's go to another new tab called the All Data tab, which I think if these graphs, when you have all of these interventions checked off, is still hard for you to digest, this All Data tab really can tell a story. Let's go ahead and just look at this rainbow section right here, which is, again, all the interventions you've used. So on the Overview tab, you're really kind of looking at, you could say you're looking at it as behaviors first and then adding in interventions, whereas this one, you kind of get to see the intervention angle first. So again, for my baseline week, I can see that we only had our really basic interventions of off-bell transitions, visual schedules. I can see week 2, we added in a social story and a check-in, check-out system. Week 3, we also increased the sensory diet, and at the end of week 3, we even started an RBT into week 4. And again, just look at this. You can tell we're adding more supports. We're adding more supports. Oop, here's the day the RBT was absent and behavior spiked. And then you can even see by week 8, we have taken some supports away. And now let's just see how all those connect to the behaviors. So again, baseline week when we don't have a lot of supports there, total instances of behavior or 394. But as we start to add more and more interventions, look what's going down, the behaviors are going down, and then look, the week that the RBT is absent, we actually did have a mini spike in behaviors. But then again, week 7, we had a week of full validity with, the increased counseling twice a week. Behaviors are extremely down, and then we even took some of our basic supports away, and behaviors were still down. So I just love how this tab really tells a story and lays it out. Like, here's when we started everything. And also, guys, look, so again, you do have some collapsible and expandable sections here. If you wanted to see missed instruction along with those total frequency of behaviors, you could. And again, it's showing that same pattern of it was high as we implemented more, it got lower and lower and lower. When the RBT was absent, it spiked back up. And then we had 2 weeks of full validity and even supports being taken away because they were doing so well and they were still crushing it. So that is going to show you the breakdown of missed instruction. Now again, we were just looking at this header column for total frequency of behaviors, but if you open up the breakdown of each behavior, you also get this beautiful little color scale chart that tells a story. So again, baseline week, behaviors are pretty up there. Then again, I can see it going from orange to yellow to even some green. So as we added more supports, it's getting better and better. Week 5, that was our week of full validity. Week 6, we see the RBT was absent. We see some things spiking again. We have another full validity week where they were crushing it. And then in that last week, we even decreased some supports and they were still crushing it. So again, this is a completely new tab that I really think we really wanted to show you guys like a connection between the amount of interventions that were being implemented versus behaviors. And I think that in the overview tab, yes, you can see it, but I think that this just breaks it down in a different visually satisfying way. So it's honestly to each your own, whichever one you prefer or your admin prefers that you're going to be showing to. All right, next report generator. This is chef's kiss, the absolute best thing I've ever seen, and it's going to save you guys so much time. And it's such a powerful advocacy tool, and it's in plain language that even a parent could understand it. What it's going to do, keep this tab is fully automated minus your notes that you may want to add in. But basically what you get to do, you get to select any 2 weeks you want. Let's say we wanted to compare week 2 because that's when we actually started adding in supports to, let's just show week 6. So all of these, I mean, this child was doing so good, it barely looked like a change. But you have your behavior summary at the top. It is going to show you that the total behavior instances decreased by 53%, and it's color-coded, so if it were to increase, it would change it to red. It's then going to show you how many behaviors had positive growth, how many behaviors had regression, and then it's going to also, we did not color code the interventions applied, whether it increased or decreased, because we know that you can be trying to prove more than one thing. You could be trying to prove that a lot of supports are working and that's why the behaviors are decreasing, or they are not working and behaviors are in fact increasing. Or you could really be trying to show the effectiveness of the RBT, whereas like technically that would be an increase in interventions applied. You'd want to see a decrease in behavior. But again, there's just so many different ways that you could look at each intervention that we decided not to color code this one for you guys. And then missed instruction also going to naturally color code and jump out at you whether that's increased or decreased. And then it's even going to break down each behavior for you and how much it increased or decreased. And you even have a little stat for missed instruction. And here you can even see from week 2 to week 6 how many times each intervention was implemented. So here technically, look, week 6 had a lot more interventions, but clearly they're working because every single behavior decreased. So again, and this is something that's super printer friendly. I can go over here, and if I say fit to page, but I want to do a portrait, look at that. Fits perfectly on a page. Like, that could be copied and pasted into any IEP writing system, any progress report system, printed out for the parents, printed out for admin. And again, you just took 8 weeks of data that were across 40 plus tabs and summarized it into one page, and it's super, super powerful statements that are going to help you advocate for that child. So again, beyond that, that's how you basically interpret every single, the weekly breakdown, the overview, the all data tab, your report generator. And then again, beyond that, you really just have your daily behavior tracking tabs. Oh, and we did add one feature, a highly requested feature. I know a lot of you guys wanted a printer-friendly version of this because it's really hard to have your laptop out and take data on unsafe behaviors at times. So hidden behind all 40 of your daily tracking tabs, you have a printable version. And love this because look, you can still change your intervals or your start and end times, and it will adjust accordingly and fill out your schedule for you. And you could, I mean, in pencil or on here, even check off which supports were used that day. But again, if I were to go to print preview after I set my start and end time and my intervals, oh, and wait, actually before we do print preview, let's go ahead and see. Like, I don't want all these extra rows, so I'm going to go to all the ones that I absolutely do not need, and then I will go ahead and hide them so they won't come on the print preview page. we'll say hide rows. And then when I go to print, I could say fit to page. There's, again, this is all like, I wouldn't do 100%. No, but you can always just keep playing around with this to find which settings you like that are your preference. Like maybe this is too small for some of you and you want it bigger. So again, that's how you take data. That's how you interpret all of the data. But let's go ahead and just do a quick run through of the setup. So what I tell people all the time is on your original template, I don't touch it. I love having a blank one to come back to in case I've ever made a mistake. But if you get really excited and accidentally start typing on this one right away, you can always go back to your purchase PDF and make a new copy. But again, for the sake of leaving one blank and always having a blank master, we're going to go ahead and make a copy. Another general rule of thumb that we didn't fully talk about yet, I don't believe, is this general rule of thumb. Something not just for this sheet, for all of our sheets. If the cell is white, then that's something that is not linked to any formulas and you are free to write in. If it has a grayed background, so again, notice how every single table here, those number cells are gray, the graph is gray, there's how again the interventions used is gray. It's blank right now because we haven't clicked any, but anything that is gray has a formula hidden in it and you should not touch it. Only type in white cells. Same thing, this tab is basically fully automated minus the notes section, minus your absent log, and minus the behavior goals. All data, this tab is fully automated. Don't write anything in here unless you are inserting a comment or a note on a tab. Same thing with your report generator. Only thing you would ever be touching is your notes tab. Notice how this whole section of the graphs is gray. Only ever type in white cells when you're on something with Sheets That Teach. Okay, all right, start here tab. I don't necessarily need that. I'll go ahead and hide sheet. Behaviors, this is where I'm going to go ahead and write my student's name. Let's say we're working with Jimmy, and then that's going to allow, there's lots of auto formulations with that, or it's going to pull Jimmy's name into a lot of different tabs for you, like your all data or your overview, report generator, things like that. So I'm just going to grab some of the behaviors from the example for the sake. Bada bing, bada boom. And then we will also go ahead and add some interventions. Again, stealing from the example for sake and time of this video. And I'm not gonna add any of the descriptions for now, just because again, they're not automated with anything. Let's go ahead and put this down at 75 so you can see. And again, so because I haven't filled out or taken data on any day, there will be nothing in my weekly breakdown, nothing in my overview, all data, or report generator. All right, so then let's go ahead and start taking data on Jimmy. I'm gonna go ahead and select the date, how many intervals. Let's say I'm doing 10-minute intervals, and I'm going to do this all day from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then as you can see, it filled out every time slot interval for me. And then beyond that, it's really just writing the frequency of the behavior if it happened during that interval. As you can see, all my daily graphs at the top are going to be auto-populated. Everything for tracking missed instruction minutes over here is going to auto-populate. And as always, you can write some notes over here. It's calculating your total instances of behavior. And then again, guys, I would really just be repeating this for 8 weeks. All right, guys, there you have it. You have your setup tab, you have your weekly breakdown, your overview, which again now allows you to show the interventions that were implemented, and you can select your start and end dates. You have your all data tab, which I think is, again, a lot to look at first, but if you hide that breakdown of behaviors, I think it's telling a beautiful story of this is everything we've tried for this student, and look at the impact of it. You have your report generator, your daily data tabs, and then again, hidden at the end, you have your printer ready page. So again, I think that this is going to help you guys advocate even stronger and better than before. This is everything you guys wanted. Every single time it goes viral, this is our biggest requests, and we have cracked the code yet again. So again, be sure to grab your updated version of we are calling it the behavior and intervention tracking sheet now, instead of just the behavior interval frequency data sheet. Me and Laura, as we were making this, we were like, this doesn't even feel like a product update. It feels like a whole new product release. We know that you guys are going to love it, and we can't wait to hear your feedback. So happy tracking.